Hi.
Today me and Robin are going to be reviewing The Kill Order by James Dashner. I've never done a joint review before. I'm not even sure me and Amy have because we don't tend to read books at the same time, but me and Robin are doing a thing while we're at uni to help just kind of stay in touch, I suppose. We're phoning every night because it's just nice to catch up on the day, and we decided to read a book. Well, Robin read a book to me because he's better at that kind of thing. So we're reading a book every single night, and the first book we chose was The Kill Order by James Dashner, which is the prequel to the Maze Runner trilogy, because we both really love the Maze Runner trilogy, and I just thought this would be super fast paced like the Maze Runner. We'd get through it really quick, but we didn't really enjoy this one at all.
So in this book we're introduced to Mark and Trina. They're our main protagonists. Just after the sun flares have struck the planet. It was kind of nice to see how it all began, how the story of the Maze Runner trilogy kind of started off with the sun flares, seeing what they actually looked like, what people alive at the time actually experienced, and also seeing the disease itself, the flare, being released on the unsuspecting population and what that causes.
Yeah, when we first started reading it, Robin instantly was saying like the writing style's not very good, and at first I was like, no, I think it's fine, you know, the Maze Runner was kind of lots of short sentences and straight to the point, and you were instantly sort of just like,
It feels like there's a lot of repetition.
Yeah, and I was okay with it for about the first like 50 to 80 pages. I was just like, no, I don't mind the writing style, but as it went along, it just got so ridiculously samey, like the same descriptions for everyone. A character called Alec, who's a part of the group, he's older than all the rest of them, they're pretty much teenagers, and he was always described as like the old soldier, the ex-soldier, the bear, the old man, and it was just like over and over again, just talking about the fact he was a soldier and he is old and big, so kind of like a bear, and that was his entire character, and every single time he was referred to, it was the old soldier, the old bear, the bear soldier, like some sort of variation of them.
We couldn't have survived if it wasn't for his ex-soldier skills. So lucky he can fly a plane because he was an ex-soldier. Oh my god.
It was so samey, and I don't know if the Maze Runner was this badly written.
We have to go back and find out
I
now.
kind of don't want to. I really like the Maze Runner though, so I don't want to reread it now in case it is as bad and I just didn't realise. Because if it is as bad, I won't be able to put up with it. Like, I don't understand why his writing style would be so much worse in this prequel unless it was kind of rushed. Just kind of like the publishers or something saying like, we want a prequel from you, we'll give you a year or something, and he didn't really want to write one. And at the start as well, when you were reading it, there was this like thunk sound effect that kept happening over and over again, and you found that so annoying.
An excerpt from chapter 4. Swish, swish, swish. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Screams and bodies falling. Mark heard a few hard thunks as darts buried themselves in the branches and trunks. Having just used the onomatopoeic thunk, why would you then use the exact same word again? Not even a sentence later. It makes no sense to me. And I don't remember that in the Maze Runner. And it's the next like 10 pages.
It just
every single time and a dart hits anything, be it body, be it wood, be it ground, it's a thunk.
But it was just kind of little stuff like that, which I don't know if we noticed things more like that because we were reading it out. Like, I was listening to it and Robbie was obviously like a little bit of like performing, like reading it out. It's not the same as when you read it in your head. So I don't know if that made it worse, because it took us a really long time to read this book, and I don't think that would have happened if I just read it myself, because I probably would have skim read bits, to be honest, and you read quicker in your head, and I don't think it would have took us long. Either way though, the writing style really brought it down for both of us. I think if the writing was good, we wouldn't have had so much problem with the plot. I'm not selling this book to you, am I? If any of you do want to read this, if you're a huge fan of the Maze Runner, you should read it, because it does give you like some answers to questions you might have, and like you said, it's good to establish how things started and how people coped with it. And it is like mainly a survival story, and especially like the release of the disease is kind of the main point of the book and how it kind of changed and everything. So it is good for that reason. But if you're expecting a prequel that involves any of the characters from the Maze Runner trilogy, no, these are all new characters, but also really samey. Like, Mark and Trina are just a lot like Thomas
and Teresa.
Yeah, they're really similar. I actually had a theory that they were them, like, before the maze, but then I remembered Trina's, like, has blonde hair or something. Like, they're described differently. But they were just, it was quite samey. So, but the prologue and epilogue is about Tom and Teresa, randomly. Makes no sense. It just kind of chucks that in.
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
Coming from what felt like such an exciting and really in-depth world, and then coming to this, and it felt as well that there was a bit of this in the Maze Runner trilogy where kind of arbitrarily words were switched out, so rather than swear words you had clunk and shuck and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas in this you have the trains. Are they the underground trains? Are they called a subway? No, they're called a sub-trains.
Yeah, it's kind of like to try and make it feel like some sort of futuristic feel, like you say, those kind of things we recognise, but just with different names. And that was the only thing that kind of felt different. I don't know if it is meant to be like future, if it's just meant to be alternative reality. Everything about this book felt like really rushed and not very planned out. There were kind of interesting characters as well, and they all sort of disappeared as the book went along until you're just left with the boring ones. I only really the only character I liked was Dee Dee, who was this little girl that they meet pretty towards the start, because she was vaguely interesting in kind of her sort of plot, and she sounded like a little girl, whereas all the others kind of like... That was another thing, Alec, who's meant to be quite an older character, the way he spoke, it was like, teenagers nowadays don't even speak like that, like why on earth would he...
Like a trained soldier.
Talk like all down with the kids sometimes, though. The way he phrased it was just so cringy, and just... all the characters were just so bland, and the plot was really bland. Like, there was nothing they were really gearing towards, like a minor thing that happens. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who wants to read it. What seems like a minor plot point becomes like the whole plot for about 150 pages, and I thought it was just kind of like, oh, they'll go get that thing and then something bigger will happen, but then that like is really dragged out, and there was loads of flashbacks all the time to like when the flare initially happened and they were all kind of like grouping together, but that just kind of felt unnecessary. They were so it was just boring.
You know how Thomas always falls asleep,
especially in the Scottish Trials.
Yes.
Falls asleep and passes out all the time.
It's probably at the end of
like
most chapters he's falling asleep. Well, this is taken to a whole new level in this book, whereby falling asleep is a means of exposition.
Yeah.
Every time he falls asleep, he has chronological dreams of what happened before.
Yeah.
Oh.
That were just really dull. They felt completely pointless. They added nothing to the bland characterisation or story of the main plot. It was just kind of like it felt like James Dashner didn't know if he wanted to do a prequel when the flare first happened or a prequel when the disease was first split. So he kind of thought, let's do both really badly.
And even with the flashbacks, I was going to say there are some really exciting bits in the book, and really good, exciting bits, but in some of the prequel bits, they actually decide to miss out those exciting bits. They say, oh look, here is some nice Mark and Trina interaction. And then the storm's coming, hope that won't be too bad. And he wakes up and goes, well, those storms were terrible. And we never hear about them.
Like, because you're reading this to me on the phone, I just fell asleep, like, after 10 pages every night. It took us about 6 weeks to read this book, and we phoned pretty much every single night. And if it was written well, it would have saved it a lot, but the writing just made it infuriating to read and so boring.
It's only 350 pages. And then you've got 150 of that being, shall we find the thing over there? Oh, it's not over there, it's over there. We'll go spend another 10 pages getting over there, and then, oh, no, it's not over there.
So yeah, overall, I gave this book 2 stars. What would you give it out of 5?
Yeah, same.
2, because like it's not a 1 star. Like, I really didn't like it, but it wasn't so bad we couldn't finish it, and it didn't offend us in any way. Like, it wasn't some awful 1 star, 0 star book, but
it had its moments.
Yeah, and it had potential, and it just didn't get there at all.
So after that rather disappointing finish, we are on to another book that we are going to be starting very soon. On Amy's recommendation, we're going to be reading I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak. I really enjoyed The Book Thief. Made me cry, so much. And this looks really fast-paced and exciting, and Amy said great things about it. So really excited to get onto this, and hopefully we'll have a better review, more positive review for you.
Yeah, later. We're going to try and review all these books we read together when we're together, because like, even though we are a part of uni a lot, we do still see each other every few weekends, so we'll try and keep up with this little like book review series, I suppose it could be, like a little mini series of the books we read together and saying what we think. But yeah, I have high hopes for this one, because Amy, I know, couldn't put it down, which will hopefully mean we'll read more every night, because we'll be excited to read it, and it'll keep me awake and I won't just fall asleep all the time. Like, so often reading The Kill Order, you just be like,
are you still there?
And I'd just be like, yeah, like what just happened? I don't know. Because I just, my mind would drift so much, I'd just be thinking about other stuff. But then because I was still awake, I thought I was listening, I just wasn't. But then even then, I didn't care. I fell asleep when we read the ending of The Kill Order. And I was like, just tell me what happens. I don't want to, you don't have to reread it.
Just forget about The Kill Order.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really excited to read this. Hopefully we really enjoy it. We'll see you on the next video. Bye. Food!
I don't know what I'm doing.